among the flora and the fauna, beneath the branches who want to love ya, among the many souls who drive and lose control and stumble into a secret right under your nose.
Blessings, fellow weird and wild ones. My name's Goddess, aka G, aka your friendly neighborhood witch. They, them, their pronouns, please and thank you, point blank, period. Thank you for joining me in the practice of finding our way back to wholeness. This is our temple, our playground, our life, and our truths. During our audio session together, I will be talking with my village on how we are healing, changing paradigms, and decolonizing and degendering the mind. You are not alone. You are enough. Let's plant these divine seeds together. This work is for the collective from me, and there's a lot of magic that goes on behind the scenes. Find ways to support and reciprocate me and the other co-creators on the show at the links below. Grab your pens and paper, grab your woes, and let go.
Among the flora and the fauna, beneath the branches who wanna love ya.
Shout out and big thank you to a dear friend of mine, Lori Amadeo, for sharing her track Radiate Out with us. Check it out on the SoundCloud link below. Hey y'all, so this is going to be the final episode of season 1. Welcome to the podcast if you haven't heard it before. Right now you might hear some background noises and my voice is going to be really echoey because frankly I am in the bathtub. I have been struggling with whether or not to even do this episode and what to talk about on this episode because Black life is happening right now. And it is a struggle and exhausting. And so I wanted to take the time to be really vulnerable with just myself in a public setting and tell you a bit about where I'm at and where Sunseed is at. And I think where a lot of Black folks are right now. So yeah, going back to this episode was probably not gonna happen. I kept putting it off. Like I would schedule times to do an interview and it wouldn't work out because again, Black life happens. Or I would schedule to do a recording with just me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to talk with just me, and so I would put it off. So this, that, and the other, and now it's just me and my bathtub and my herbs and you, the listener. So I'm feeling into that right now and trying to settle into being heard, quite frankly. So I started this podcast as a way to practice and unpack the ways in which I myself was perpetuating whiteness, heteronormativity, and all the other basically shit that comes with being born into this world right now. And there's a lot of shit, and it's not as if, and we'll get into this later maybe if I can remember to come back, it's not as if it's one thing that is the root cause of it all, but there is this overarching mechanism of supremacy that seems to be the most productive in terms of what the intention is behind it, and the most used in order to keep the lie going. Yeah. So right now, what am I feeling in my body? I'm gonna go down it like I would. So I guess I'll start with who I am. Actually, I'll tell you like a normal podcast episode. So my name is Goddess Carol, and I am from Iowa. I went to school for journalism and social media management for nonprofits, and ended up not doing that. It was really hard to find a job. I was really I don't want to call it naive, but I was really open when I came out after college about what I wanted from a workplace and who I was going to be in that workplace. Actually, more specifically, who I was going to be in that workplace. So on all my letters, I was like, as a Black queer woman of color. Fast forward like 6 years later, I'm no longer identifying as a woman because I found out I was not a woman. Thank you, universe, for putting me in touch with that part of myself. But it was really hard to get a job, quite frankly. And so I did other things for a while, and then went on this crazy journey. Not crazy, it was intense. It was an intense journey of taking off the veil, the wool being pulled away from my eyes, and truly feeling into what it meant to exist. And when I say that, I mean 8K, just not being in survival mode all the time, and noticing that I was in survival mode. And so when I started tapping into my body, and when I went and took massage therapy school, a whole army, battalion of pain came up. And I knew I was going on the right path, but I also realized that my healing wasn't going to be linear. It wasn't going to be like, okay, you've just worked through the issues with, being abused as a child, specifically with your mom beating you, or like you just worked through the issues with, being molested as a child with this person. You know what I mean? Like yes, those things actually happened to me, but all of these things aren't things that like you reach a point, you heal that point, and then you move on. It's not like climbing a mountain. It's like everyday life, period. You are always walking and healing with your trauma. When you have opened up that, when you have started to truly look, and it doesn't just take someone to go in and be like, oh, I'm ready to look. Like, it takes community and it being mirrored back to you that it's okay to look. It takes guidance, and it takes examples. And when you haven't been given the examples, how the F are you ever supposed to do it? How are you supposed to know? But once you know, it's up to you to like start digging. So I started digging, swimming. I like the term swimming through all of it. And that's what led me to this point of starting Sunseed. I realized I needed a community that looked like me. I needed a community that had a whole bunch of different people that was not dominated by white people, and also were not cis hetero. Like, I needed people that were comfortable with using expansive pronouns, and were you didn't have to do the work of explaining to them what holding space for a queer person look like. Like, that needs to be a given with Sunseed, and I make it a point for it to be a given. And so that's why now, I'm just jumping around again, but that's why now Sunseed, I made the decision to only co-create. Specifically, I emphasize co-create and partner in spaces with BIPOC people, and specifically Black people, and then priority will always be given to queer Black people, because there's not enough of us out here doing this work. You can look up Black healers, Black yoga instructors, and you'll find people. Yes, you'll need to dig, but you'll find them. But you'll also find in their videos they're using language that is very gender normative and can be really triggering for people like me. And so we need people at the forefront who look like us, who experience our experiences. Like, white people aren't the only people on this planet, and the fact that cis heteronormative white people are the ones that are the voices are the loudest or listened to the most says a lot more about not what the market needs, but what the market is privileging and prioritizing. So that's what I have to say about that. Now, that doesn't mean that if you're a white-bodied person that I don't want to be a part of your process. It just means that there's other ways to show your support for Sunseed. You can donate to Sunseed. You can ask for me or some of the other team, which we'll get to come and speak with your organization or with your family, with your people, whatever it is. But it won't be from the point of you and I both working together and we both speaking. Like, you're not going to get cookies for this. Like, this is your work. You need to do it. It's expected, period. Point blank, simple. Done. That being said, thank you for the support and both through sharing, liking. We all know that, like, hearts, well, we don't all know, hearts on Facebook posts, specific, I don't know where other hearts are in the social web. I ain't trying to keep up with all that. But when you like a post or when you heart a post, hearts get more, get bumped up to the top. So prioritizing who you are promoting and, like, giving your claps to, like, you need to be promoting and giving your claps and sharing the voices, the experiences, and the joy. I ain't talking about, I call it white candy. We can get into that another time. Remind me if, like, I don't discuss it in this video. Like, explain, yo, goddess, like, what does white candy mean? I will explain that happily. We're not trying to perpetuate the idea that, like, the only Black experience is the struggle experience. Like, there's also Black joy. So sharing those posts, especially if you are a white-bodied cis ally or just white-bodied, like, I ain't trying to, like, but you know what I mean, like, you need to be sharing the work of your loved ones. If you love them, you will share their work. If it aligns with your work, you will share it. And I think why we don't see as much of it being shared is that there is this underlying idea that if you have a darker pigment and you come from a certain cultural background, your experience is invalid. It needs to be questioned, and you need to prove yourself in order to even be at the table of discussion. So the idea that Black people, I was raised to believe that I have to work 10 times harder because I was Black. That means that everything I do for Sunseed, the idea is, from a societal standpoint, is that I need to work 10 times harder because I know that I will have 10 times less opportunity to even do the work I love to do. And I ain't playing by that game no more. Like, we need to switch up that narrative, and it starts with white people. Like, we'll be doing our work. Black people, we doing our work. We're doing our work with, and when I say we, I'm like, we're doing our work, I mean, like, no, you need to start doing it with homophobia and all the things that come with shame and quieting our Black existence. And white people, you need to be doing your work with, why the fuck are you so much louder than we are? Like, why the fuck? In so many ways. So, yeah. So that's Sunseed and where we're going. I'm currently in the process of getting a team together. I'm trying to decenter myself. Quite frankly, I know that I need rest. Shout out to Black Dream Escape. Please look them up. I know that I need rest. Also, shout out to TBN from Cause Rain. Shout out to a whole bunch of people, and I'll try to put as many links as I possibly can in the show notes. Also, Google that shit. Like, just Google it. Like, stop. Anyway, I'm trying to get better with understanding what rest looks like for me and listening to my body and having that mind, body, soul connection, so that when I don't have to get to the point I'm so exhausted, I need rest, like it's a part of my habits already. So that includes decentering myself from Sunseed community. So I am creating a team. It will be all BIPOC, and again, priority goes to queer BIPOC folk. And so, having someone who's helping me like build these ideas, to like bounce ideas back and forth with, and like share what Sunseed has to say with everyone else. Like the me and my friend were talking about it. She is white. Shout out to Sarah. I love you so much. About being like, I'm definitely a pollinator and like to go from like flower to flower. I see all these beautiful black, indigenous, brown, yellow, all of the motherfucking shades, not shade, flowers, and I want to pollinate them all and like share their love and their nourishment with everyone. And so I'm a pollinator. So having a fellow pollinator who sees things a little bit differently than me and can kind of rein me in, because I also am very idealistic. If you follow like gene codes or into that type of shit, I'm a manifester. You know what it is, you know what to do. Like, yeah. So like reeling me in and being like, let's get realistic and like narrow it down. Because I honestly can't regulate myself that well yet. I say yeah because it's a goal, but it might not be the end of what it is. Like, so creating community is about that. Like, you realizing that you can't do all these things alone, and that's okay, and that's what community is for. Also getting a graphic designer, someone to help out with the social media, because quite frankly, I don't want to touch the social media anymore. And someone who is really good with recording. So the first podcast season, I was looking up all of the, like, researching all the people to be interviewed, creating the questions, doing all of the production, including like editing the sound. That's why it's so shitty, because I ain't got time to be going through every nick and shuffle and tick and cough and fart, whatever. Like, I ain't got time for that. The message needs to be out, and it needs to be out now. So I did it. But I do take a lot of pride in my work, and so for me, finding someone who loves that same work but has a passion for doing sound and editing, you go for it, honey. You do it. And specifically why I'm hiring and bringing on people of color is that we've been wanting to do this work, just nobody. And when I say nobody, if you're one of those white people like, wait, I like supported this, let me not use mockery type voice. But yes, I support this, that, and the other. Yes, but we need this like to be a norm. And so when I say everyone, it's not a norm to hire black people for this work. When we get hired, it's because you want to, we're the exception. We are the not even the standard, but that like cookie you need to say, oh, I'm diverse, basically, and like, no. So, yes, still be hiring Black, Indigenous, people of color, but at the same time, like, that's why Sunseed's switching up. Okay, I'm rambling on about Sunseed, so I want to get back into what I'm feeling in my body. Right now, I feel a gentle push by my ancestors at my back. And they're usually there with hands on my shoulder. And tears are coming to the front of my eyeball. And it's so hard to let them fall. It's hard to accept and surrender to vulnerability in a way that I don't know what the end result will be. And that's full vulnerability. Full vulnerability. And that's what talking publicly feels like for me when it's just me, is full vulnerability. And I feel like I can't breathe right now. It might be the steam from the bathroom, because I was like, let me close all this in. We're gonna hotbox the shit out of this, meaning steam. Ain't nothing wrong with some marijuana though. Marijuana, pot, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, I'm digressing, but I feel like I can't breathe. And actually that's like really heavy right now. So I'm gonna step out of this tub and go get some water. Because it's like intense. And the best way to describe this feeling, because I get it a lot, is feeling like you're a fish out of water. And so you're swimming around in this existence that's what is supposed to be made for you, right? You're ideally, quote unquote, acclimated to it. It has all the things you need in it to survive, but somehow you can't access it. Like something within your makeup or within your beliefs is keeping you down, and that is whiteness. And for the sake of this, I'm going to say that whiteness is also cis heteronormativity, but they can be separated as well. So let me get this water. So your bitch is tired. Like, I am very tired, and this feels so different than the previous marches, rallies, protests, riots, just not basic, but people, point blank period, crying out for justice. That is what we're doing. We are all utilizing our voices that are given to demand rights that should also be given. And sometimes we just gonna up and take them. Looting, rioting, yes. And I'm finding that in this place of vulnerability, I spent 4 years creating this nest to fall into, and that nest requires maintenance. And it's constant maintenance. Again, healing is non-linear. But what I'm finding right now is the people with which I let into that nest, not all of them can hold me. And that is not okay, but it's where we are at right now. And those people are predominantly white, and I love them deeply. But when you to put it with a scenario which might make it easier. Let me get back into this tub because I'm just crouching and like not all up in the water. Also, get in the tub if you want to get in the tub. Get in the tub. White, black, brown, indigenous. You get in that motherfucking tub, boo. Let me get a drink. I love drinking out of a glass jar. When a white person checks in with me, Which right now I feel like check-ins, and actually like I've been thinking this a lot about check-ins, it doesn't feel like, it feels really patronizing. What I need is someone to sit with me, not check in on me. I need someone who understands where I'm coming from because they have experienced it and realize they have experienced it. And so they can sit with me in that pain. They might not be in the pain currently, but they know what that feels like. You know the difference between like your friend who's in a relationship, and you just got out of a relationship with a bad breakup, and be like, oh, I need someone to talk to. And then I'll be like, oh yeah, I know it so sucks. Like, you'll find someone, like this, that, and the other. And you're like, stop woo-wooing me. Don't woo-woo me. Don't woo-woo me. Like, you've been through this too. Like, sit with me in this. So that's what it feels like when people are like, I'm just checking in on you. Like, please do not check in with me. You can sit with me. White people cannot sit with me right now. But that's because there is so much wounding and trauma on both of our ends that you simply cannot hold me. Right now, you need to do your work. You need to do your research. And I need to do intense healing. And research and work is your healing. I mean, there's more, obviously. There's definitely more. But to ask a black person right now to sit and tell a white person about what they are experiencing is asking someone who is currently being re-triggered by their trauma of whiteness, and cannot always escape it because it's rampant if you are in the U.S. Right now. To unpack that vulnerability with you, a white person. When I see you right now, when I hear your voice, it sounds like the raping of my people. It sounds like the murdering of me. And I can't do it. I won't do it. I can fake my way through it, but it wounds me so much. So yeah, I was actually working on a post on the website, and I think I'll get Ella Tubman like share it with you, or maybe I'll share it later. It's unedited, but it's that idea and why it's so important, and like kind of my I'm sorry but I'm not sorry that I can't talk to my white loved ones right now declaration. And the suggestions in it were actually created by other black non-binary folks. So yeah, I'm gonna see if they're cool with me sharing their names and their Venmos, so you can, because we talked about it for sure and we put work into it, so you can pay us for our labor. Yup. So yeah, that's how it feels and I'm feeling right now. And in the last season, I had so many moments of being gently and sometimes not so gently pushed to grow the fuck up, to do better, to practice deeply, and to listen. Every single episode was a reflection of something I was going through in that moment, like in my life at that moment. And I'm still going through a lot of those things. And having the beautiful experience of unpacking that with people I loved and trusted, some of them new people I'm meeting, some of them old friends, and to be able to share that with you and say, share that with you in a way where you can take what you need and leave the rest, like that is what Sunseed's about. I'm just thank you all the people who have been on the podcast. What I see right now is like in the center of my, like to the center right of my skull is like this yellow line shooting like from the back all the way to the front, and it's this, and the line is like a line of like these glowing people, and it's y'all, it's your ancestors, it's the power and the direction. It's there, and I feel direction. And even in all this bullshit that black people shouldn't, when I say we, I'm talking black people, should not have to be dealing with. There's this other experience of being able to step out of it. My spirit will follow me in any body I take after this life. And spirit knows, and she wants to be called she right now. She sees you, she sees me, and she also ain't gonna be taking no bullshit anymore. So let me just pop back in. Spirit's popping back in. And this brings me farther along. So there's a workshop I would like to do about the spiritual and physical tax on Black, Indigenous, and people of color that happens with whiteness, that is that separation of spirit from body. That's what we experience every day. We are constantly being disconnected from our spirit and our body. Kind of like, what's that movie? The Golden Compass, when they get separated from their daemons, they can't survive. And so it's that, like, they become this, like, this disembodied meat sack, basically. And so I will be creating a workshop around that idea. And I'm so excited about it. I really had to narrow down what I wanted to see next season. And the podcast will still be similar in what we did this past podcast, but there will be a workshop on the side that Sunsee's doing. So two different branches. Yeah. So, this is, so I get this a lot of like, oh goddess, I think people think I'm like a saint in the way of like, or like, not maybe a saint, but just someone to look toward for guidance. And first of all, what they don't realize is like, yes, I am, and also you are. I am being a mirror of what you can't see in yourself, or what you do see in yourself. And that's what Sunseed Community is all about. And my mission and my purpose in this life is to sit with people for moments at a time in ways in which they can process the mirror being held up to them. And so when I get that reaction of like, oh, well, you think this way because you're just so much better than I am, or you must think so positively all the time. And it's like, oh, no. Oh, bitch, no. I am struggling. Maybe not in the same ways, but I am continuously unfurling a new layer of being that. And it hurts. Birthing hurts. For example, birthing. So when I go through extreme transformations lately, my moon time, my period lasts a lot longer. Usually it's just 3 days. And this one has lasted a whole month. And yes, it's stress. Yes, that's the body. But because I know myself, I also know that there's an intense birthing that's happening right now. And so letting that happen with grace and love, and being able to relax my muscles, relax my spirit, allow it to be vulnerable when it knows it can actually be vulnerable, is what's going to allow that wall, when people with wombs are going through their period or their moon time. It's the shedding of a wall, and I'm shedding of this wall, and bitch, it's coming down. It's coming down. Anyway, so yeah, where was I going with that? So, but I think that idea of like me, I think people, because society train me and sees me as a Black woman, the idea of a strong Black woman, someone that like in the movies, there's always like, especially in rom-coms for some reason, when white people are going through their shit, like having this huge transformation, and you see the transformation from beginning to end, and it's almost like this hero experience, or like this, the story, or like the storyline of it, like a hero's journey. There we go. There's also a Black person that seems like they look like they have their life together, and they're always giving advice to that white person. It really doesn't leave room for that Black person to be dynamic and be on their own journey. They're just here to support the white person on theirs. So when people say that, it leaves no room for me to be dynamic, and tells me it's not safe for me to be fully vulnerable with you. And instead of apologizing and like shaming myself for not being vulnerable with people, I'm going to start taking note of the people who are allowing me a space to be vulnerable and can hold the space for me to be vulnerable, and also holding myself accountable for trusting it and trusting my intuition. And my intuition is like, the alarm is going off for a lot of y'all. And that's not to say you're a bad person or that I dislike you. It's just, it's saying I'm tired and I need to do what's best for me. So no shade on that one. That's just truth. So yeah, the idea of being perfect and having to be strong and always radiate this light is not the truth of what is actually happening in my body. And part of that vulnerability, you'll hear in the podcast in season 1, I talk about my ex from time to time, and I am still unpacking that relationship, deeply so, in a way that is beyond even the relationship. It is me unpacking so many attachments and traumas, and that aren't even related to, some of them aren't even related to the relationship. That it, when I am triggered, I tend to get like an armadillo, and I don't even know if armadillos really do this, but I'm gonna assume. So they roll themselves into the ball to create an armor, and I create this wall around me, and then I sometimes I crashingly roll away from the situation. I'm like, oh nope, not safe, armor, roll away, like walk away. And so that's what I do. And because of where I was at when I was in this relationship, I am choosing, like I noticed, I know I'm ready to not roll away. So I'm not going to roll away. And then packing the ways in which I perpetuate like some serious cis hetero ideas of what a relationship should look like, ooh, child, like, we could talk for days. Like, I find myself doing what white people do to me, or like non-black people do to me, of like, oh my gosh, I admire those queer folks who just know what they're talking about and can like so openly be in like these queer relationships and have it go perfectly. It's like, no, they unpacking their shit too. And I can no longer other myself from being a queer person, like, not on purpose but subconsciously be like, or like have that imposter syndrome. Like, my body is ready to move on from that narrative and catch it when it does show up. Another drink, hold on. Whew. Other things. I won't make this video too long because I rambled enough. But I just wanted to let you guys see it. I want to share with you a side of me that not everyone sees via, or always like picks up on via, the other episodes, and also just kind of lay out some of the things I've been dealing with in a public platform, so the people who really are down with Sunseed community and down with me will listen to it and be like, oh yeah, got you. Yeah. Oh, I just burped. That means it's time. I spoke my truth. So that's it. Next season will be coming out in winter. I ain't gonna give specific time drops and all that, like my airy self. I have Aries moon. Will do, but it's coming out. I'm so excited for it, and I'm building a team. So if you are interested in being a part of, I don't want to call it a team, my squad, my squad, seriously, if you are down for being a part of the squad and you a BIPOC person, like, hit me the fuck up. And if you a white-bodied person, please hit me up too, because like, you can hit me up on that Venmo and that PayPal for sure. And also, like, spread the word about people that are doing this work. Not just me, but a whole bunch of other people are doing this work. And it looks different for all of us. So do your research and spread the love. Spread the truth, for real. And also subscribe to the email. I'm not going to send out newsletters. I don't feel like all that shit. Not like... When I said, I just like, when I think about it, I'm like, ooh, no, like, I ain't got time for that. That might change, I don't know. But you will be getting emails from me about like podcast episodes and keeping you up to date. Not up to date, I just like, it'll be added material for your viewing, listening, reading pleasure that will add to the experience of unpacking this sticky icky thing we call whiteness. So please subscribe to the newsletter on the website. Also, there'll be a text to join link in the show notes. What else? I'm trying to think of all the motherfucking things. Support your local Black Lives Matter movement. Make sure they are connecting with the main Black Lives Matter movement so that their messages align and they are being updated on changes to the organization and the movement, so that we can come as a unified front and just fucking flip this shit over. Like, we're done. We sick and tired. We're done. Yes. And I think that's it. Thank you for experiencing this season with me. Yeah. Like the Facebook page, Sunseed Community on Facebook. And yeah, Black people, I love you so much. Bye.
So, do you like me, or do you love me? Please heart the episode, share the episode, and subscribe at sunseedcommunity.com.